The push for trans and gay rights has been a persistent topic of late in Irish politics, indeed for politics across the Western world, with more and more semi-state bodies, NGOs and businesses being involved in either the promoting or funding of Pride Month, among other events and promotional material. It has become a heavily funded and promoted area for what is really a minor issue, representing a very small fraction of society in Ireland and elsewhere. Although it may appear on the surface to be a worthy cause in the name of equality, freedom of expression, and lifestyle choice, the subject of transgenderism and the whole Pride movement has its dark corners and underbelly that simply cannot be ignored in a healthy and functioning society. There is much its promoters and players would have the general public ignore or pardon, such as the consequences of sex changes, the aftermath of hormonal changes and sex change operations. The financial, psychological and physiological cost are issues kept out of sight and mind of the general public, as well as the gay community, hidden behind the noise, veneer and gloss of Pride promotion. The deliberate grooming and targeting of children and young adults is also another obvious and concerning element, clearly visible in the trans movement. This intentional method of conditioning children and young adults to accept transgenderism and cross-dressing through parades and story hour events is promoted to be normal and acceptable, while questioning their own sexuality and identity, creating possible doubts and insecurities in themselves at a young and vulnerable age. Over time, more and more ethically questionable and criminal activity by players within the movement come to be revealed on a regular basis, while the movement as a whole, as well as apologists in the form of politicians and activists, finger bash critics and protesters, as not to judge the entirety of the movement on these individuals, pointing the finger to such tropes as being homophobic, bigoted and close-minded, when the crimes being committed are neither random nor a once-off, to be mere coincidence or accidental. Over the past decade, Ireland has witnessed a resurgence of trans activism, pushed both politically and sociologically, culminating in the Gender Recognition Act of 2015, arguably the world's most permissive of transgender recognition of its type in the world. The Act facilitates self-recognition with no questions asked for individuals over the age of 18, as well as similar protocols of medical supervision for 16 to 18-year-olds. Political and legislative involvement of the trans movement in Ireland has its origins in 2007, with a ruling on the Lydia Foy case by the European Court of Human Rights. Foy, being a trans woman, desired recognition by the state, initially having their case turned down by the Irish High Court before trying the EU courts in Brussels. This led to the creation of an advisory group on transgender laws in 2010, laying groundwork for the Gender Recognition Act of 2015. Central to the trans movement in Ireland have been the Transgender Equality Network Ireland, also known as TENI, founded in 2006. Remain one of the country's most active and influential lobby groups next to such entities as Meta. Being the country's most prolific trans activist, TENI meet routinely with government, most recent being among the biggest pushers for hate speech legislation. They are also regularly campaigning for allowing children under 16 to legally transition, consulting with the Department of Children on considering the matter. TENI have backers with deep pockets in helping foster their campaigns, from the Bank of Ireland to pharmaceutical giants such as Bristol Myers Squibb, ensuring their coffers don't run dry in pushing for more and more trans-focused activism in the country, such as workplace recognition, with a boardroom lineup of die-hard socialist activists. ensuring they are well networked in the circles of Ireland's NGO industry and non-profit sector of state soft power. TENI, like many similar bodies, rely heavily on both private and public funds to survive. Despite having past dubious accountancy practices and records, are still in operation. Freedom of information requests and online research by independent news outlet The Burkean has revealed funding to come from a variety of public and private sources, with TENI not having public accounts is suspect to be only a percentage of their total spending also. For example, as per Freedom of Information requests, it was revealed the Health Service Executive alone gave TENI just over €1.3 million between 2014 and 2020, intended for a variety of social inclusion and mental health projects, such as gender, identity and skills training to train various health staff in dealing with trans issues, with other monies coming from Quangos, with TENI board members sitting on boards of these Quangos. Other sources revealed by the Burkean show TENI, as per HSE accounts, having received just over €240,000 from a dormant accounts fund, being unclaimed monies from bank accounts left unused after 15 years, reclaimed by the state. Also revealed was philanthropic donation activity. In one such case, the sum of €125,000 being donated by the organisation Rethink Ireland. One other such example of regular non-profit and semi-state cash injections of recent include TENI receiving €44,000 from state educational charity Legalised, as well as €21,000 from the Irish Human Rights and Equality Commission, as well as just under €25,000 since 2018 from state community support agency POBL. One major private source of donations for TENI have come from the UK-based Sigrid Rosing Trust, founded and operated by Swedish heiress Sigrid Rosing. The Rosing dynasty, comprising of Jewish industrialists, have made their fortune through food packaging firm Tetra Pak, accumulating a fortune in the billions. TENI have recently received €700,000 from the Rosing Trust, with €450,000 in grants since 2014. Further Burkean research shows among other Irish benefactors from the Rosing Trust to be the Irish Council for Civil Liberties, having been given in the region of €1.3 million since 2015. An active campaign group for gay marriage, abortion, and hate speech. They continue to call for more restrictive hate speech legislation, as well as protest exclusion zones for pro-life campaigners around hospitals. The dormant account scheme regularly fill the coffers of other trans NGOs, of which there are many, with €200,000 per annum being earmarked for trans and LGBT services and advocacy groups by the Department of Rural and Community Development. Such LGBT charities as Belong To have been recorded to receive €1.3 million from various state bodies, such as POBL to TUSLA. The Child Protection Agency, under Roderick O'Gorman, has been tasked with providing LGBT services, as well as lobbying on behalf of gay and trans people, focusing specifically on school-aged LGBT pupils. The Burkean, in their research, makes solid and legitimate conclusive arguments, namely of the trans lobby sector only being able to exist thanks to the backing of state, semi-state and private donations and funds, the motives of which ever suspicious for the disproportionate and monumental sums involved, of which make little to no economic sense, or for a return on investment, for such a small demographic percentage and area of the socio-economic landscape.
This is my life as someone who has been both chemically and surgically castrated. I am now owned by the pharmaceutical industry. Okay? This is not fun. This is not glamorous. This is not cool. This is not part of any trend, okay? This is serious shit. I have no freedom. I am owned by these, okay? Do you understand what it feels like? The thrill wears off very fast, okay? So if you think it's funny to mess around with hormones, don't, it's not fun. It's not fun. I hate this. I hate this. And I don't want to see anyone else go down a path that makes them reliant on this.